Sometimes in life, we hear a story that doesn't just enter our ears, it enters our heart. It sits quietly inside us, reminding us of something we forgot, or something we never noticed. Today's story is exactly like that, and before I share it with you, I want to talk to you as if you're sitting right in front of me, like a younger friend who needs a little guidance, a little softness, and a little truth. You see, in this fast life, we often run so fast that we forget the people who walk slowly behind us, especially the ones who raised us. We forget the hands that fed us, the eyes that watched over us, the heart that stayed awake when we slept peacefully. And surprisingly, the people who love us the most are usually the quietest. They don't demand attention, they don't say, "Look at me," they just give. Give endlessly. Research from the University of Michigan shows that people who provide emotional support to others often hide their stress more than anyone else. They smile on the outside, but they carry heavy loads on the inside. And if you think about it, that's exactly how most mothers are. Strong outside, soft inside, silent fighters. Before we begin today's story, I want you to pause for a moment and breathe. Yes, right now. Take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. This is not just for relaxation. Slow breathing actually calms the nervous system. Scientists call it activating the parasympathetic response, which basically means your heart slows down, your brain clears, and your emotions settle. And trust me, when you listen to an emotional story with a calm mind, you feel it more deeply, and you understand it more clearly. Now, let me ask you something simple. When was the last time you told your mother, or the person who raised you, "Thank you"? Not the polite thank you, but the real one. The one that says, "I see your struggle, I see your love." If you can't remember, don't feel guilty. Most of us forget. Life distracts us. Work, school, problems. Everything gets louder than the voices of the people who quietly care for us. Today's story might remind you of something you already know in your heart but haven't felt in a long time. It might open a memory. It might soften a corner of your mind. Or maybe it will simply make you pause and reflect. As we go through this story together, I want you to listen not just with your ears but with your feelings. Imagine the characters, see their faces, feel their moments. Because stories like this are more than entertainment. They're lessons, mirrors, reminders. And as your senior guide today, my job is simple: to help you understand the emotional threads that connect us, to help you see the invisible effort behind a mother's smile, and to help you appreciate the quiet heroes who build our lives without asking for anything in return. Now, let me take you into the story. A story that might just touch your heart in a way you didn't expect. Let me take you into the early days of this story. A time when life was simple, but hearts were heavy in ways only a few could see. Ayan was a young boy, maybe 10 or 11, a quiet child, sharp in studies, but innocent enough to believe that the world was exactly as he saw it. And like many children, he believed that his mother was unbreakable, strong, always smiling, always ready to help. He thought she had no fears, no tiredness, no worries. They lived in a small, warm home, not fancy, not modern, just enough to survive. The kind of home where the walls carried memories more than decorations, where life didn't run on money, it ran on love, patience, and late-night sacrifices. Ayan's mother, Samina, worked from early morning till late night. She had 2 jobs, one at a tailoring shop and another sewing clothes at home after everyone else went to sleep. If you think about it, millions of women around the world do the same. Research shows that most working mothers do nearly double the unpaid labor, cooking, cleaning, caring, yet they don't call it work, they call it love. Every morning, Samina woke up before sunrise. She made Ayan's breakfast, ironed his small school uniform, and packed his tiffin with whatever she could afford. Sometimes it was bread and eggs, sometimes a simple roti with sugar. But she always tried to add something he liked. She believed children grow better when they feel cared for, something science agrees with. Studies show that when a child feels emotionally supported, their brain develops stronger pathways for confidence and decision-making. Isn't it beautiful? The smallest acts of love quietly build the strongest minds. But here's the emotional part. Ayan never noticed the tiredness in her eyes. He was too young to understand that the same hands that packed his lunch were the hands that worked until they ached. He didn't know that she slept only 4 to 5 hours. or that she often skipped meals so he could eat enough. In her view, his smile was her food, his success was her rest, and maybe that's what motherhood truly is, giving pieces of yourself to build someone else's world. Every evening, when Ayan came home, she greeted him with a smile so warm it could melt away the world's harshness. She asked about his school, his day, his teachers. She listened, really listened, even when her back hurt from hours of sewing, even when her fingers were sore from stitching clothes that were not hers. But she never complained, not even once. Many mothers do this. They hide their struggles like a secret. They put their children's needs above their own health. And sometimes they forget they are human. Back then, Ayan only saw her as his mother, not as a woman with dreams, not as a person with pain, not as someone fighting a silent war. But life, my friend, always reveals the truth. And soon, Ayan was going to see a side of his mother he had never imagined. Every story has a moment where everything shifts, a moment that quietly breaks something inside you and opens your eyes to the truth you never noticed. For Ayan, that moment came on a cold winter night. It was late, past midnight. The streets outside were silent, and the small house was dark except for the dim light coming from the sewing machine in the corner. Ayan had gone to bed early after a long day at school. But something woke him up, a soft sound, a cough, fragile, shaky, and painful. At first, he thought it was just the cold. Children often ignore the small signs. But the cough didn't stop. It kept returning, again and again, like someone was struggling to breathe quietly. And that's when he heard something that pulled him out of bed, a small gasping sound, as if someone was trying hard not to wake him. He stepped out of his room, rubbing his eyes. The house felt colder than usual. And then he saw her. His mother was sitting on the floor near the sewing machine, her hand pressed against her chest, her breathing heavy. She looked smaller somehow, weak, almost fragile. Her shoulders were shaking and tears were gathering in her eyes, not because of emotion but because of pain. When she noticed him, she quickly wiped her face and forced a smile. "Beta, go back to sleep. I'm fine, just tired." But even a child can hear the truth hidden behind the word tired. Ayan walked closer and saw her hands tremble. He saw the rawness in her fingers, red, swollen, rough, the kind of fingers that worked too much and rested too little. He also saw something else, an empty plate beside her. She hadn't eaten dinner. That moment hit him like a storm. This wasn't tiredness, this was exhaustion, overwork, malnutrition, stress that had turned into physical damage. And you know what? Science supports this. According to research, chronic stress weakens the immune system, affects breathing patterns, and can cause chest tightness exactly like what she was feeling. Mothers who overwork and sleep less than 5 hours a night have a 40% higher risk of heart strain. They don't realize it because they always put the family first. Ayan knelt beside her. He held her hand. It felt cold. She tried to pull it away, embarrassed, but he didn't let go. For the first time, he saw the truth behind her smile. He whispered, "Ami, apro kyun rahi ho? Why are you crying?" And she said nothing because she had no words. When someone carries years of pain alone, there comes a moment where silence becomes their language. That night wasn't just a turning point for her health. It was a turning point for Ayan's understanding. He realized something powerful. Mothers don't show their pain until the pain becomes too big to hide. From that moment on, Ayan was no longer just a child. He became a witness to her struggle. And soon, he was going to become her strength. Understanding love, stress, and the hidden science behind a mother's sacrifice. Before we continue deeper into Ayan's story, let me pause here and talk to you directly, heart to heart, because what Ayan discovered in that one night is something many of us don't realize our whole lives. We think love is just emotion, but love, especially a mother's love, is biology, psychology, and silent sacrifice all working together. Let me explain this in simple, everyday language. 1. A mother's love shapes the brain. Modern research shows that when a child receives consistent care and emotional support, their brain develops stronger neural pathways for trust, confidence, and emotional control. In simple words, kids who feel loved worry less, they make better decisions, their stress is lower, their memory is stronger. This is why children raised with emotional warmth often grow up more emotionally stable. A mother's tone, touch, and presence actually shape the child's brain chemistry. But here's the emotional twist. While mothers build strong children, they often forget to build themselves. They give so much love that they leave nothing for their own well-being. 2. Stress hides in the body. What happened to Samina that night is something many parents experience. Stress doesn't come knocking on the door, it creeps in, headaches become normal, chest tightness becomes just tiredness. Lack of sleep becomes a routine, skipping meals becomes a habit, but the body remembers everything. Studies show that ongoing emotional stress and lack of rest can weaken immunity, affect breathing, and even mimic heart problems. That's why mothers who never rest end up facing health issues they never talk about. So here's a practical tip. If someone in your home is always fine, check on them twice. People who say, "I'm okay" too quickly are usually the ones holding everything together. 3. Gratitude is medicine. One of the simplest, most powerful practices backed by psychology is expressing genuine gratitude. Saying, "Thank you, I appreciate you, I saw what you did for me. You mean a lot to me." These small sentences release chemicals in the brain that reduce stress and increase happiness. For both people, imagine this. A 10-second hug can reduce the stress hormone cortisol and increase the bonding hormone oxytocin. A small thank you can create a memory that lasts for years. Gratitude doesn't cost anything, yet it feeds relationships like water feeds a plant. 4. Tiny habits for a happier home. Let me give you a few easy senior-approved habits you can use starting today. Eat one meal together each day. Ask one emotional question weekly. How are you, really? Give one small compliment daily. Share one story every night, even a short one. Keep your phone away during important conversations. These simple habits build safety, trust, and emotional closeness. Ian didn't know these things yet, but life had already started teaching him. The night he saw his mother in pain became the night he understood something powerful. Love is not loud. Love is the soft things, the small sacrifices, the silent battles no one sees. And soon, he was going to discover just how deep the moment that changed everything forever. Some moments in life arrive quietly, but leave a mark that lasts forever. For Ian, that moment came just a few days after he saw his mother struggling in the middle of the night. After that night, he began watching her more closely. He noticed things he had never seen before. How she rubbed her fingers when they hurt. How she paused between breaths when she was tired. How she smiled even when she had no energy left. How she said, "I'm fine," even when she clearly wasn't. It was like his eyes had finally opened. One evening, Ian came home from school and found his mother sitting silently near the window. The sewing machine was off, a rare sight. Her back was bent slightly forward, her hands resting on her lap. She looked peaceful, but tired in a way that broke something inside him. She looked up and smiled the moment she saw him, a smile so soft, so trusting, that it carried years of love in it. But Ian didn't smile back, not immediately. He walked toward her slowly, as if every step carried a heavy truth. He sat beside her, gently took her hand, and held it with both of his. Her hand felt cold and small. "Ami," he said softly, "apthakeho, na? You're tired, right?" She tried to smile again, but this time her eyes filled with tears. Mothers don't break easily, but they break when they feel seen. For a moment she didn't say anything. Silence filled the room, a warm, emotional silence, and then she whispered, "Beta, main thi kun, tumbas padai karo, bas tumeksh banjao, sab thi kojaega." "I'm fine, my child. You just study. If you grow up well, everything will be okay." But this time Ian didn't accept her answer. He leaned forward, hugged her, and held her tightly, a long, warm hug. The kind of hug that heals hidden wounds. Science actually confirms this. A 10-second hug can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and make both people feel emotionally safe. Ian didn't know the research. He just knew that his mother needed this hug more than she needed anything else. "Thank you, Ami," he whispered. "Thank you for everything. I see it now, everything you do." His voice shook. Hers broke. No grand speech, no dramatic moment, just a simple, honest sentence that carried years of unspoken gratitude. And for the first time in many years, his mother let her tears fall freely, not tears of pain, not tears of fear, but tears of relief, the kind of relief that comes when your sacrifices are finally recognized, when someone finally says, "I see you." That evening, something changed between them. She wasn't just his mother anymore. She became a human being in his eyes, a woman who had dreams, struggles, and emotions of her own. Ayan promised himself that day he wouldn't let her fight alone again. That promise became the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, a chapter built on understanding, gratitude, and a love that needed no words. A mother's love truly goes. Every emotional story has an ending, but some endings feel more like a beginning of awareness, of gratitude, of a deeper connection. After that evening, something beautiful started happening in Ayan's home, something quiet, something soft, but something powerful. Ayan began helping his mother in small ways, not because she asked, not because he felt guilty, but because his heart had finally learned to see. He started waking up a little earlier. He folded his uniform instead of leaving it on the chair. He made tea for his mother when she looked tired. He even learned to stitch a straight line on the sewing machine so she could take short breaks. These things may sound small, but emotional support is built on small things. Science says that tiny acts of care create strong emotional bonds, stronger than big gifts or dramatic gestures. Consistency matters more than size, and you know what changed the most? Their conversations. Before, their words were quick, rushed, surface level. "How was school? I'm fine. Eat your food." But now they talked more deeply. Ayan would ask, "Ami aj apka din kaisa tha? How was your day today?" She would smile, surprised by his new attentiveness, and she would answer honestly, not with the usual "I'm fine," but with the truth. Little by little, she began sharing her feelings. Little by little, she allowed herself to rest. Little by little, she realized she didn't have to carry the world alone anymore. That is the power of understanding. It transforms relationships, it heals invisible wounds, it turns a house into a home. The message for you, viewer-focused wisdom. Let me speak directly to you now. Every family has a Samina, a person who gives more than they receive, a person who stays strong even when they're exhausted, a person who hides their pain so others can smile. Maybe it's your mother, maybe your father, maybe your grandmother who raised you, maybe your older sibling who became more like a parent, maybe someone who never said they were struggling, but their eyes told the truth. We often wait for the right moment to appreciate someone, but the right moment is always now. So here are a few senior, simple, heart-friendly steps you can begin today. Say one sentence of gratitude to them. Even something as simple as "thank you for everything you do" can melt years of silence. Check on their health gently. Ask if they drank water today. Ask if they ate properly. Ask if they slept well. Small questions show big care. Spend 10 minutes with them daily. Research shows even 10 minutes of mindful presence reduces stress in families. Notice the little things they do. Sometimes love is hidden in routine. Give them a long hug. It heals more than you think. Final thought. Ayan's story is not rare. It is happening in millions of homes right now. And maybe, just maybe, this story touched your heart because a part of you already knows it's time to say something you haven't said in a long time. Go ahead. Show love before life forces you to, because the people who love us the most are often the ones who need our love the most. And that, my friend, is the true message of this story.